Good morning, everybody. Just going to do a sound check because when you're on a stage, your instinct is to project a big booming voice, but I know it's different when you have headphones on. Could you give me a thumbs up if the sound is at a good level? Oh, brilliant. Okay. Right, I'll try and keep it this quiet, civilized volume, which is really hard. Thank you so much for coming to our session today. From zero to VEGA, how Keyloop are transforming the auto industry. It's going to be a really exciting session. We've got a small group today, and I think those small group sessions, you often have a lot more chance to connect more with your audience, to get deeper into some of the stories that we're going to share to you, and to give you a really good session. You're going to leave here with a lot to think about. Promise you that. I'm Jane Smith. I'm the Chief Data and AI Officer for ThoughtSpot in EMEA. I am a long-time data person. I've worked in data and analytics and AI for 20 years. I used to be Chief Data Officer of an insurance company. So for all of those of you here that are leading data transformations, AI transformations, been in your shoes, I know your pain. This morning we will be talking to Keyloop, a really exciting company. They are doing so much in a space that really needs this transformation. Tom's going to join me. We're going to bring him on in just a moment. Before we do, let me tell you a little bit about ThoughtSpot, because I have a lot of passion for what we do, a lot of passion for our product, and I want to share that with you right now. Let me just take a step back. Let me tell you about the evolution of analytics, because I've been in the data space a long time. I've seen a lot. Who else has seen a lot change in this space? Yeah, a lot of hands. So, back in the sort of earlier days of analytics, the go-to were dashboards. We'd go to our dashboards when we needed answers to questions, when we needed insights. And dashboards were good. They were great. They would answer your question, as long, of course, as your question was configured exactly to what the dashboard was configured to show you. If it wasn't, or if you had more questions, of course, we had to lean on our army of analysts to get that for us. So that brought on the next wave of analytics, the conversational. Talk to your data in natural language. Ask your questions just in your words, not in specific terms, dimensions, anything like that, and you get answers. I always think of that as talking to your data, and it talks back to you. And that's something ThoughtSpot pioneered, search native, 13 years ago, long before ChatGPT or conversational generative AI was a thing. So very tried, tested, trusted in the market. Now, as I'm going through this, think about your organization, where you are on this journey, how far to this side or this side you are. The next wave of analytics that we're stepping into, you may have heard this word once or twice at Big Data London. I don't even want to say it. Agentic. This is where we're going clearly with analytics. We have agents. They are able to reason. They are able to get insights and proactively bring those insights to us. We no longer have to ask. We have our agents monitoring, looking at all our data sources and telling us what we need to know when we need to know. And then out into the future, we have autonomous. So our agents have brought us the insight, and they now start to pursue goals. They now start to act on our behalf. They solve problems for us based on that. And that is when we get into multiple agents working in concert to solve that problem that our data agent has surfaced for us. Quick show of hands. Who's an autonomous? Good, because you put your hand up, you're right. You're lying. Who's an agentic, or who's stepping towards agentic? Oh, a ThoughtSpot. Good. I want to see those ThoughtSpot hands. I'll talk to you later. That sounds good. Who's in conversational? Who's chatting to data? Okay. And who's in dashboards? There we go. Okay. Work to do. I mean, we know this, that Gartner tells us that very shortly, 2027, which is just around the corner, half of what we do, will be agent augmented. We'll be using AI. I don't focus so much on that sort of that end state in 2027. I don't focus so much on the prediction. I like to focus on what's actually happening, that we know that 50% is going to happen. So for me, when I think what's actually happening in real life, MCP protocol last year, released by Anthropic, And we start to move from LLMs as singular agents to agents reaching into tools and reaching into data. Hot on the heels of MCP, we then had Google's A to A. So then we have agents talking to each other. We then had the Nanda protocol shortly after in concert with MIT. And this is where we have agents using the web like humans. So Nanda, if you don't know, it is an open protocol for the registration, the verification, and the reputation of agents. So, when you see the statistic about 50% of what we do will be automated, and you think, okay. But then when you look at what's going on in the background, and I should mention the OSI, the Open Semantic Protocol released, I think we heard about it yesterday. This is all happening. This is where the market is going. Let me tell you pretty quickly about where ThoughtSpot plays in that. So our ideas are simple. Firstly, we want everyone to get a dedicated analyst. If that is the only thing that AI does for us, that is a good thing. It's like an analyst in your pocket. We want to, this analyst in your pocket, when you just ask your questions in your natural language, this is where we break the paradigm of a small analytics team servicing a big organization and overwhelmed with questions with BI backlog. Who feels that pain? Give me a hand or a nod or yeah. I used to be a chief data officer. I know the name of that tune. Secondly, the insights are connected and pervasive. We don't have silos. We have an entry point into our data, and it comes back to us. And our data is our insights. They are embedded in our flow of work. Our experiences are intelligent. Whatever application we go to, our spotter, which is our AI agent, our ThoughtSpot insights are coming through. All the power of our data comes into our application. We're not logging into something else on the side. We're not implementing a whole new thing people have to think about. We're embedding knowledge into what we already use. Now, everything I spoke to you about really so far is the end user experience, but please rest assured we're a full platform. All of the things in the back office, of course, are there. We have the Analyst Studio. If your data is not AI ready, we can prepare it here. Robust semantic layer, and of course, our data management. And then all of the experiences that I spoke to you about, our agent, our live boards, and then our embedded, whereby if you are in a business where you provide or sell data to customers, they can access those insights that you provide to them through ThoughtSpot as well. We are on the Gartner Magic Quadrant in the good side, where we want to be. You can see we compete against some big names, some big players, but we are there, firmly there. And these are some of our many, many wonderful customers. And I'm conscious, I hope you enjoyed what I just showed you, but what you're here to see today is you're here to see something quite exciting. I find it very, very exciting. We're here to talk to Keyloop, and they're a really interesting company. Keyloop are driving a huge AI transformation. It really is changing, their company, sure, but more than that, they're transforming the automotive industry. And even beyond automotive, what they're doing has many applications. Anybody here work in pharma, healthcare, insurance, logistics? Yeah. So you'll see, and this is why I want you to really stay here and listen, because whatever you work in, I think you'll probably find a parallel for what Keyloop are doing. And the man that is leading this is Mr. Tom Kilroy. Tom has a long history of working, please come over, long history of working in tech companies. He's made a bit of a habit, really, of steering companies that are at quite a strategic point and taking them into their next chapter. Please join me up here, Tom. This is what he does. He's sort of part strategist, part futurist, certainly a visionary man. Okay, a bit of a man, the myth, the legend situation. Tom Kilroy.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll give you the power of the clicker, and I'll go this side.
Thank you. That's very kind. So first of all, can I just do a sound check as well? Does that sound okay? I'm conscious this does not need to be Shakespearean. I'm going to keep it conversational. So look, first of all, thank you very much to Jane and the team from ThoughtSpot for inviting us from Keyloop here today to talk about what we're doing with them. It's a great pleasure. Thank you also all for coming. So I'm Tom. As you can see, I've got one outfit and I'm wearing it. So the same every time. Right, Let me tell you just a little bit about, because you're probably thinking, Keyloop, who are they? So first of all, just a little bit about the company, and maybe I'll just focus on a couple of things. The main thing to understand about us is we're a software company serving automotive retail. And automotive retail is a kind of really complex ecosystem that consists of people, the retailers themselves, you've got manufacturers, and you've also got financiers who are actually funding the vehicles. So you've got a bunch of players in a very complicated ecosystem, and I think right now, if you went out to buy a car today here in the UK, you probably have a choice of 50 brands and 550 models, and it's quite hard to think of anything on that scale where there's just so much choice. And that choice brings complexity. But we're very proud of the fact that we're across the world, and we've been in automotive for a long time. We have around about 40 years of automotive experience, but we're trying to use now tech to change this industry. So the first thing I just want to ask is, how many people here own a car? Okay, now, great, so almost everybody. And let me just ask you, I'm going to rank it into three, which is ideal, solid, and disappointing. Your last interaction with the industry, either to buy a car or get it serviced, how many people are going to say ideal? Okay, that's good, we got a couple. Solid? Yeah, okay. And disappointing? Okay, so there's quite a number of hands for solid and disappointing, and that is actually most people's experience. Is obviously when you're buying something, things like the finance product that comes with it, you're not actually interested in the finance product, you just want to get the result, the outcome that you're trying to achieve. When you get a mortgage, you're not trying to get a mortgage, you're trying to buy a house. And it's the same thing with trying to get a car. People experience this as difficult, or certainly, let's say variable, right? As we just demonstrated here. Depending on whether or not you happen to hit the right person at the right moment, you may have a good experience, you may have a bad experience. So why is that? Well, the first reason is fundamentally data silos. And in our industry, there are three really big ones. And the three really big data silos are the dealership, the manufacturer, and the finance house. And they just are not fully connected together. I mean, it's obvious to say this, but actually if you think about it, in the last 5 years, there probably isn't a single car that's been sold that doesn't know what needs to be done to it. So none of those three are actually either of the two things we should be focused on, which is the vehicle itself and the consumer, the owner. So for a period of time, they will be combined, and for a period of time, they may be separate. That vehicle will have a history, maybe before you own it and afterwards, and you will have a history in terms of other vehicles that you've owned. So what we need to do is concentrate the data around those two groups and provide the information at the right point. Now, in order to do that, in our industry, you have to take data from a whole number of different places. It is in multiple layers. ERP systems that have been used to run dealerships, systems for the web that are about interacting with customers, and a lot of these just don't connect together. And I'm just going to tell you a story from the analog world. I remember a owner of a very large car dealership group, a very respectable brand, I'm not going to name who they are, and they used to do something in the old world where when you bought a used car from them, they take the hood, the bonnet, as we say in the UK, and put a little paper sticker under it where you couldn't see it as the customer, and it would just say, we sold this car with the name of the dealership and the mileage and when it was sold. And the reason that they did that is 6 months later, when the customer brings it back into the other part of the dealership, which is the service department, if the first thing they say is, who sold you this pile of junk? It needs thousands of pounds worth of work, right? That's not going to be a good customer experience. And the problem is that that's the paper equivalent of what we now need to do, which is bring the data about the customer and the vehicle to the same place. So to enable us to do that, we've partnered with ThoughtSpot, we've built a data core, and we've partnered with ThoughtSpot to put our live board on top of that, which is VEGA. That's what we call it, VEGA. And when I talk to Jane in a minute, we'll talk a little bit about what VEGA does for us. But in order to make sure that that's really kind of clear, let me I'm not going to try and read all the items on this page. What I just want you to kind of look at here is, on the left-hand side, when you're buying a vehicle, there are critical pieces of information. So, it could be the settlement figure on the finance that's on your existing car. It could be the mileage data, valuation data. All of these things have to be brought together in order to provide a deal for a new or used vehicle. When you're servicing the vehicle, information you need is there a technician? Is there a service bay? If you want a loan car for the day, is that available? You can't provide the right consumer experience or the right insight for the business owner unless all of that data is brought together. And equally, from the operational layer, you've got data like the vehicle's history, you've got things like manufacturer parts information, VIN level data, specification data. This is, as I say, this is an ecosystem with incredibly complex data sets coming from multiple sources at once. And what we have done with Fusion, and specifically with our active data core, is to bring that data together. So, for us, the data core is what powers our ability to provide different outcomes for our customers. So, as we look at those outcomes in each of those 4 areas of activity, you can see deal profitability in terms of sales of vehicles, resource yield in terms of the servicing of the vehicles, peak operational efficiency in terms of how you run your dealership, and maximum profit per unit. And these are things at the moment that retailers find hard to get consistently right. But they can get that much improved if, and this is where VEGA comes in, you can, as Jane put it, talk to your data and it talks back. Now, one more thing to say about the industry before I close is, it is actually often run at the retail level on a daily stand-up basis. So a lot of our customers will literally have daily stand-ups where they're looking at sales data, service data, what's happening in the dealership that day at that particular location, and what has happened the previous day. And a lot of people have reports that they get, and they may not even be dashboarded. They may actually be emailed spreadsheets that just summarize what has happened in terms of sales in the last 2 or 3 days in the dealership. The problem with that data is you can't interrogate it. You can't ask it, why are sales down in this area? Why are they up over here? You can't then ask the question, is that linked to the incentive from the manufacturer that we put in, or are we offering the wrong finance offering? So that question of the ability to be able to interrogate the data to make faster decisions about operations and customer experience is what VEGA is for. And that's what Keyloop is delivering for this particular sector. And I'm very conscious that not everyone is in this sector, but I think the complexity to simplicity challenge is probably quite similar in a whole number of industries. So with that, I'll stop. Jane?
Thank you. Audible check again, are we good? There we go, please have a seat. Thank you. So Tom and I now are going to have a chat. Are you ready to have a chat?
I am.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Good, okay.
I'm glad we're up here, not down there. I don't think actually anybody else
We did originally have sofas there, this is much better. So if I summarize everything you've said, I feel like the first principles that you've articulated are get the data together, get it out of its silos, get it into a core, and make it queryable, make it instantly there for people. Give us a few concrete examples of how that changes things for retailers, or what we think of as dealerships.
Yeah, well I think the most obvious one to start with is probably I want to book my car in for a service. At the moment you sometimes feel that you have to chase to actually get that availability. You've got to ring them, they're going to phone you back. I mean, sometimes you can email them, but it's hard work. And what you're really trying to find out is, when could I actually get this particular vehicle serviced? And to do that, you need to know, what vehicle is it? What parts does it require? What mileage is it at? There's a bunch of things about the vehicle, and sometimes you'll find, I don't know if you get this experience, they ring you and say, what service does it need? And you're like, I don't know.
You tell me.
I mean, you're the car guys. You tell me, right? I mean, so people, they don't want that put back on them. And I think at the moment, even that, which is, and we do that now. Of course, we make that available because otherwise, all people are doing is making a generalized request for, can I bring it in?
Yeah.
And that, that isn't the level of detail that you need.
You want to go to, yeah. I love this. It's so relatable, isn't it? We all have car experiences. I was talking to someone the other day about, analytics evolution, but it was in the insurance space, in the portfolio optimization, the post-buying space. It was so unrelatable, but this is great. This feels very real to all of us. So this feels very applicable in a lot of much wider than auto.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the thing is, I highlighted in our space, we've got particular big players in the ecosystem like the retailers, the manufacturers, who do a lot to control data around the vehicle.
Yeah.
So a lot of telematics data is in the hands of the manufacturer, but not necessarily supplied to the customer or to the retailer. And then you've got the finance houses as well. And those are big, powerful, in their own right, big, powerful segments of the market. And it's kind of a supply chain that exists in symbiosis together. And the problem is everybody's kind of in the past gone, that's my data, and I'm going to hold on to that.
Yep.
And the problem, if it's not brought together with the other data, you can't get the outcome that you're looking for.
So your customers have these frustrating, disjointed experiences. Can I see hands up who knows what telematics data is? Oh, most of you. For those that didn't put hands up, will you give us a second on telematics?
Sure. I mean, so most vehicles these days are broadcasting telematics data, which is data about the vehicle, its condition, the state of its, its service needs, its mileage, those kinds of things. And that is usually going to the manufacturer. The question of whether it is then made available to others that would need to see it in order to be able to make decisions about it. At the moment, partly yes, but partly no.
Yeah. And as you talk, it makes me think about other sectors and how we could apply these principles. You can really see for healthcare, you'll probably have your patient data at one side, and then your hospital data, your medication data, your pharma data, your supplier data. Yeah. Same in manufacturing. You'll have your supplier data, your manufacturing data, your distribution data. So many spheres of applicability beyond auto.
I think so. And I used to be in financial services as a sector, and in that sector, it's sort of the same thing. You've got somebody, and they may have savings, they've got loans, they've got a mortgage, they've got a bunch of financial products around them as they travel through life, and those will vary depending on what stage of life they're at. And really, they're not looking to interact with that individual situation. They really want an answer about the totality of the journey, and providing that for them is important.
Okay. Does everybody here work in analytics in some capacity? BI, let's have some hands. Do we all? Yay! Our people. Hello. So because you all work in AI, I think a nice question would be, what is the one metric that all car dealerships should really be on top of but aren't?
Yeah, so I think some are, but the metric that they really should be able to properly assess is the cost to serve per unit. And at the moment, the way that they often assess that is the input and output cost, just of what did I sell this car for and what did I buy it for. But of course, the totality of that cost to serve is going to vary enormously with a whole load of other factors. And those are operational data about the costs of everything from how much they've marketed them to, and very often they can't see, there are a few that can, and everybody's at a different stage on this journey, but the ability to resolve that accurately at the moment is not there for enough customers. And that means they can just be making the wrong decisions about the vehicle, and frankly you can be selling things and losing money. Yeah. And the more you sell, the more you lose. Yeah,
these decisions you want to be fully have all the facts. Would somebody be kind enough to give me a time check? I can do my own time check, sorry. I think we're good. So I would like to move on to the future. Yeah. Tell us in the future. So we looked earlier about how we're moving to this future of agentic and then autonomous analytics. What does that look like in your line of work?
Well, we are thinking about this future now in terms of where the agentic side of it will be. And I think there will be agents within our customers in dealerships, but I think that there will be multiple agents. I also think customers are going to have agents that they're using to run. I would like a future maybe, I hope this isn't too distant, where I can ask my agent, you know what, when's my car due in for a service, and when could I get it serviced, and can I get it done before I go on that long journey to drop my kids off at university, or do it, if you could actually know the answer to that, and it would interact with the data in our systems, that would be great. But I think it'll also be on the retailer side.
Can you tell us a bit more about the retailer side?
So for example, I think that at the moment, one of the things they struggle to do is to do predictive and to do preemptive. So, if you buy something very expensive like a jet engine, you tend to get told beforehand when it's about to go wrong, right? It's being monitored remotely all the time.
Yeah.
For most of us, the car is actually quite an important and expensive asset. It would be great if you were able to predict, actually this car is going to go wrong, the brakes are going to run out, and you should bring it in now, and we'll book you in conveniently 2 or 3 weeks ahead, so that you're not having to pull, because all the person that I showed who was looking like, this headspace is just defeating me. It's like the amount of effort you have to put in to kind of understanding the problem, reaching in to get help. If that could be pushed the other direction, where you can say, look, we're tracking the mileage on this vehicle, it's actually clearing up much faster than we expected. This is going to need a service quicker. We're going to hit this customer now and say, bring it in. And even if you said, our workshop's not really very busy at the moment, so we can do you a discount, bring it in this week, and we'll give you 10% off. And at the moment, that ability to flex your business model is not nearly agile enough, and it could become much more agile with agents that are doing that for you.
Hands up who'd like to have that experience when you're driving. Yeah, me too, that sounds good. A jet engine, is that what it sounds like, or am I attributing what I think might be a plane to just a normal engine? I
think it would just be nice for all of us to be able to get the kind of service around a valuable asset that we all have to spend quite a lot of money on, and get that ideal level rather than just solid or a bit disappointing all the time. And that's where we hope we can help our industry end up, and I think we can. We have the tools now in our hands to do it. People have been talking about change for a long time, but I actually think the new generation of capabilities is going to make that possible.
Amazing. I think that's a note to end on. Not disappointing, not solid, but ideal. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your participation, for listening. It's been great to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good pod.